For 18 seasons, viewers believed they understood Aurora Brown. She appeared quiet, compliant, and loyal, always seated calmly on the couch, always nodding at the right moments while the family unraveled around her. Many assumed she was content in the large home on the hill, the so-called golden child who stayed when others walked away. But whispers from behind the scenes say otherwise. They describe a disturbing incident at 3 a.m. last Tuesday, an incident involving a packed bag, a disconnected security camera, and a fight so loud it echoed through the walls of the Brown home. What happened that night challenges everything viewers thought they knew. This isn't a storyline crafted for TV. This is a look inside what some believe is the golden cage surrounding Aurora Brown. For years, the show presented an image of obedience, loyalty, and emotional sensitivity. But a closer look, especially at older episodes, reveals something different, something that resembles fear more than devotion. An insider close to production claims that Aurora's apparent obedience is actually a carefully maintained survival performance. The panic attacks shown on screen weren't proof that she needed constant protection. They may have been symptoms of living in an environment ruled by emotional pressure. Imagine being raised to believe your biological father was irrelevant, then being told to call a new man dad to avoid shattering your mother emotionally. That kind of anxiety doesn't arise in a vacuum. According to the source, Aurora isn't allowed to have a phone without heavy monitoring software tracking tools usually used on toddlers, not grown women. Location tracking, message mirroring, even listening capabilities. Whatever this is, it isn't normal parenting. For years, viewers believed Aurora chose not to interact with her older siblings like Gwendolyn or Gabriel. But the insider suggests that she has been isolated, told that her siblings dislike her, warned that the outside world is dangerous, and taught that only the walls of Robin's home offer safety. But the cracks in this facade started showing. In recent specials, Aurora seemed exhausted, her smile strained. When Kody lectured about loyalty, she wasn't supportive, she was frozen. That freeze isn't passivity, it's a trauma response. Something, however, shifted recently. Something that pushed Aurora from silent survival to planning an escape. The turning point, the source claims, came when Aurora accidentally found legal documents in Robin's office papers detailing the family trust and Kody past properties. They weren't just land deeds. They included notes about loyalty assets, suggesting that the adoption of Aurora and her siblings wasn't only about love. It may have also been about securing long-term financial leverage and binding the children legally and monetarily to the Brown system. Seeing those documents reportedly changed everything. Aurora realized she wasn't a daughter, she was a financial asset, expected to remain in the home forever, a built-in caregiver for Kody and Robin in their later years. That realization ignited a survival instinct. What followed, if true, was a 3-week covert escape plan. The insider claims Aurora secretly obtained a burner phone by exchanging saved cash with a delivery driver or a friend. The speculation is that she reached out to someone who already escaped the family dynamic, possibly Peden, possibly Christine. She had to remain the perfect daughter at home while preparing to leave. She couldn't pack suitcases or she'd trigger suspicion, so she used trash bags. She volunteered to clear clutter, filling bags half with real trash and half with her hidden belongings, journals, clothing, documents, even items from her biological family. She quietly moved them to the garage under the guise of Goodwill donations. The plan was simple but dangerous: sneak out at 3:15 a.m., meet a car at the end of the long driveway, and disappear before anyone woke up. She knew the security blind spots. She knew the alarm codes. She dressed in dark clothes, avoiding every creaky stair she had memorized over the years. She reached the mudroom. The rain outside masked her steps. Freedom was moments away. Then the hallway lights snapped on. It wasn't Kody, it wasn't Robin, it was Brianna, phone in hand, already dialing. Her scream shattered the silence. It wasn't a whisper. It wasn't confusion. It was a full-throated alert that woke the entire house. Robin flew down the stairs. Kody followed. The confrontation that unfolded was explosive. For the first time, Aurora didn't shrink. When Kody demanded answers, accusing her of disloyalty, she reportedly yelled 3 words that cut through a decade of carefully crafted narrative. "I am drowning." She ran into the rain toward the waiting car. But Kody reached his truck first. He sped out of the garage and blocked the driveway, trapping her between the house and his headlights. The driver couldn't move closer without risking legal consequences. Robin ran into the storm, grabbed Aurora's arm and dragged her back inside. The door slammed. The lock clicked. And what followed, according to the source, was not comfort, it was coercion. They reportedly sat Aurora at the kitchen table at 4 a.m. and presented her with a financial breakdown of every expense since she turned 18: rent, utilities, insurance, food, transportation. The alleged total was more than $40,000. Kody told her that if she left, he would sue her, ruin her credit, and ensure she would be financially destroyed before her adult life even began. Robin pressured her emotionally, insisting the outside world wanted to use her, not help her. Overwhelmed and terrified, Aurora gave in. The burner phone was confiscated and destroyed. The bags were brought back inside. The escape failed. But this wasn't the beginning of the story, it was the fallout. 4 days earlier, Aurora allegedly slipped away during a glitch in her tracking software and met someone at a campus coffee shop. Multiple claims from Flagstaff forums matched the description of Kody Brown. Their conversation was brief but intense. This is where Aurora allegedly received the burner phone and, more importantly, information about the family's finances. Kody reportedly told her that the older wives left because all their money was funneled into the very house Aurora lived in. He showed her the math. He shattered the narrative she had been fed for years. Aurora returned home that night with new clarity and a taped burner phone hidden under her clothes. That's when she began bagging her belongings. As for Brianna, the internet has painted her as the villain, but fear may have driven her actions. In a household where only one child can be the favorite at a time, Aurora leaving would leave Brianna exposed. Her scream was less betrayal, more panic, a fear of being left behind with the full force of Kody and Robin's control. Since the failed escape, Aurora has appeared in carefully curated photos. Her posture is defensive, her smile strained. The house appears even more fortified. Cameras upgraded. Practices tightened. Yet there is one detail that gives the story a twist. The leaked audio capturing the confrontation? The acoustics suggest it wasn't recorded by a neighbor, it was recorded inside the house. Perhaps Aurora didn't surrender all her devices. Perhaps she kept the real evidence. That recording could be the key to legally freeing herself. Every subtle change in her appearance on future episodes could be a sign, small acts of rebellion from someone who is trapped but planning. The entire situation reframes sister wives from reality TV into something far darker and more complex. Kody believes presenting a financial ultimatum secured control. In fact, he may have exposed the truth that his protection is conditional, transactional, and rooted in dominance, not love. A person who sees the truth can never unsee it. Aurora may be trapped for now, but she is no longer under the spell. And within those walls, she may be holding evidence powerful enough to unravel everything. For 18 seasons, viewers thought they understood Aurora Brown. She seemed quiet and cooperative, always seated calmly on the couch while the family fell apart around her. Many believed she was comfortable in the large house on the hill, the golden child who stayed when others walked away. But the whispers behind the scenes paint a very different picture. They describe a troubling event at 3 a.m. last Tuesday, a packed bag, a disabled security camera, and an argument so loud it rattled the walls of the Brown home. Whatever happened that night challenges everything the audience thought they knew about her. This wasn't a scripted moment for television. It was a glimpse into what some now call the golden cage surrounding Aurora. For years, the show portrayed her as loyal, obedient, and emotionally delicate. But a closer look at older episodes reveals something far more unsettling. An expression that looks less like devotion and more like fear. According to an insider close to production, her obedience wasn't natural at all. It was a carefully practiced survival mechanism. The panic attacks seen on screen weren't signs that she needed constant protection. They may have been the result of growing up under relentless emotional pressure. Imagine being raised to believe your biological father didn't matter, only to be told you must call another man dad to avoid upsetting your mother. Anxiety like that doesn't appear out of nowhere. The same source claims Aurora isn't allowed to have a phone. Without heavy surveillance software tracking tools often used on toddlers rather than adult women. Location monitoring, message mirroring, even features that allow someone to listen in. Whatever this is, it isn't normal parenting. For years, fans assumed Aurora simply chose not to connect with siblings like Gwendolyn or Gabriel. But the insider suggests something darker, deliberate isolation. She was allegedly told her siblings disliked her, warned that the outside world was dangerous, and conditioned to believe that only Robin's home was safe. But the cracks in this story began to show. Recently, Aurora has appeared exhausted, her smiles tight and strained. When Kody delivered one of his lectures about loyalty, she didn't look supportive, she looked frozen. And that freeze wasn't passivity. It was a trauma response. Something shifted recently. Something that pushed Aurora from silent endurance to planning an escape. The shift reportedly began when Aurora stumbled across legal documents in Robin's office papers connected to the family trust and the Coyote Pass properties. They weren't simply land files. They included notes labeled loyalty assets. hinting that the adoption of Aurora and her siblings may not have been entirely about love. According to the source, the paperwork suggested long-term financial control, binding the children to the Brown system well into adulthood. Reading those documents forced Aurora to confront a devastating truth. She wasn't being raised as a daughter. She was being positioned as a long-term asset, someone expected to stay in the home forever. A built-in caretaker for Kody and Robin in the years to come. That revelation sparked a survival instinct. Within days, Aurora allegedly began quietly planning her escape. The insider claims she found a way to obtain a burner phone paid for with cash she'd secretly saved, and exchanged through a delivery driver or a trusted friend. It's rumored she reached out to someone who had already broken away from the family dynamic, possibly Peden, possibly Christine. She had to maintain the appearance of being the perfect daughter while preparing to leave. She couldn't pack traditional suitcases. That would raise suspicion immediately. Instead, she started filling trash bags, mixing real garbage with her belongings, clothes, journals, documents, and the few keepsakes she had from her biological family. She volunteered to clean out clutter, moving those bags into the garage under the pretense of donations. It was simple. It was dangerous. But it was her only chance. Her plan was to slip out at 3:15 a.m., meet a car waiting at the end of the driveway, and be gone before anyone in the house was awake. She knew the blind spots in the camera system. She knew the alarm codes. She even knew which stairs creaked and which ones didn't. Dressed in dark clothing, she moved silently toward the mudroom, the sound of the rain outside helping cover her footsteps. Freedom was just seconds away. And then the hallway lights snapped on. It wasn't Kody, it wasn't Robin, it was Brianna's phone already in her hand, her eyes wide, dialing before she even spoke. Her scream tore through the silence, shaking the entire house awake. Robin rushed down the stairs. Kody followed. What happened next was explosive. For the first time in years, Aurora didn't shrink. When Kody started demanding answers, accusing her of betrayal, she reportedly shouted 3 words that cut through the entire illusion of harmony the family had built. I am drowning. She bolted into the storm, racing toward the waiting car. But Kody jumped into his truck and pulled out of the garage, blocking the driveway, trapping her in the glow of his headlights. The driver couldn't risk moving closer without escalating the situation. Robin ran into the rain, grabbed Aurora's arm, and dragged her back inside. The door slammed. The lock clicked. What followed wasn't comfort. According to the insider, it was coercion. At 4 a.m., they sat Aurora at the kitchen table and presented a detailed financial list of every expense tied to her since turning 18: rent, utilities, food, transportation, insurance. The total allegedly exceeded $40,000. Kody told her that if she left, he would sue her, ruin her credit, and make sure she couldn't start her adult life without being financially buried. Robin leaned into emotional pressure, insisting that no one outside the home cared about her and that leaving would destroy the family. Terrified and overwhelmed, Aurora broke. She surrendered the burner phone. The bags were hauled back inside. Her attempt at escape had failed. But this wasn't the beginning of the story. It was only the fallout. For days before the failed escape, something critical happened, something that set everything in motion. According to multiple claims circulating on Flagstaff forums, Aurora managed to slip away during a brief glitch in her monitoring software. She made her way to a campus coffee shop, where she reportedly met someone who had already broken free from the Brown family system. The description shared by several anonymous posters all matched one person, Peden Brown. Their conversation was brief but intense. It's believed that this is where Aurora received the burner phone, and where she finally learned the truth about the family finances. Peden allegedly told her that the older wives didn't leave because they were disloyal, but because their money had been funneled into the very home Aurora lived in. He showed her the numbers. He showed her the imbalance. He showed her exactly how much had been taken. That conversation cracked open everything she thought she knew. Aurora returned home with the phone taped under her clothes, a weight of understanding she had never carried before, and a clarity that made her panic attacks look like warnings instead of weaknesses. That night, she started gathering her belongings in bags. She didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She moved with a quiet determination, someone who had finally stopped believing the story she'd been fed her entire life. As for Brianna, the internet was quick to label her the villain. But the insider suggests something more complicated. In a house where only one child can be the favorite at any given moment, the idea of Aurora leaving may have triggered pure fear. Brianna's scream wasn't necessarily betrayal. It may have been a desperate attempt to stop the world she knew from collapsing. Because if Aurora escaped, Brianna would be left alone with the full weight of Kody and Robin's control. In the days after the failed escape, Aurora appeared in carefully curated photos. Her posture looked guarded. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The home seemed even more fortified than before. Updated cameras, stricter routines, tighter rules. Everything felt staged. Everything felt watched. But then came the rumor that changed the entire narrative, the audio leak. The sound quality of the shouting, the echo of the walls. The proximity of the voices, it didn't match what a neighbor would have captured from outside. It sounded like it came from inside the house, which means someone inside may have recorded it. And if Aurora didn't hand over every device, if she kept even one hidden, then she may be holding evidence powerful enough to free herself legally. Every small shift in her future behavior, every strained smile, every quiet moment on screen could be a signal, a message from someone who is trapped, but no longer mentally under control. Someone who is waiting for the right moment to expose everything. Sister Wives may present itself as reality TV, but this situation reveals something far heavier. Kody might believe the financial ultimatum regained his power. Instead, he may have revealed exactly what kind of control he's been exerting all along: conditional love, emotional leverage, and financial domination disguised as protection. Aurora saw the truth, and once someone sees it, they can't go back. She may be trapped physically, but she is no longer trapped mentally. And inside those fortified walls, she may be holding the evidence that could unravel the entire system.